with you shortly. Alrighty. Not Dead Yet Adventures. He's an interesting guy. I'm not trying to promote his channel, but he has an obsession with Philly and the Philippines. It's very obvious. Um, he sounds like he's a very intelligent guy, and even his use of wording, you could tell that he has some intelligence and he's educated to you know, some point. Um, Seems to live in a nice place. I don't even know if he lives in the Philippines. From looking at his abode, it's very modern, very contemporary looking, very nice place. I don't know his background, but his content is about Philly and the Philippines. Um, is he right? Or is he just obsessed like most people are? When predominantly a lot of his shows have to do with Philly and the Philippines. Now, Philly is kind of an interesting character. We've been following him, and while he was living, I mean, the guy makes points about him that are very valid. Um, I'm not an avid viewer of Philly in the Philippines, but I know his material. He spent a lot of time going to what they refer to as Freelance Park and Walking Street, all that stuff, and it would seem that he is pretty obsessed with prostitutes and so forth. And is there another side of Philly that we don't know about? I don't know. I'm just a messenger here, and commenting on the controversy, and there's so much controversy on YouTube. But this guy, Not Dead Yet Adventures, maybe we'd like to see more adventures instead of talking about Philly. Obviously, he's got a bone to pick with Philly, Brian. Now, if you guys remember, he decided to get out of Angeles, and it was not too far along after his supposed incident. His girlfriend got robbed in the street or something like that, and you can set me straight on that. I don't know. Um, yeah, and so I don't know. Philly worked as a prison screw, I guess. I don't know if that says something about him or how you could correlate that to his character, his demeanor on YouTube, and all the way around. If you remember the incident, his girlfriend supposedly, and I think that was a story that was made up because I think the pressure was really hitting him. All self-inflicted, of course. There's a lot of people who self-inflict pain on themselves on here by doing certain things, but he's one good example. Now, maybe she didn't get robbed, and it was a story that it's just an equal opportunity show, by the way, and you do very well about talking about me, but put your attention where it really needs to be attended to. People who are quite possibly doing things that are very real in nature, not made up because you decided you didn't like somebody, but if you've seen all the clickbait titles on Philly's shows, then Not Dead Yet Adventures is correct. I don't stand behind Not Dead Adventures, and I'm not trying to promo his channel. He's only got about 500 subscribers, but it's pretty obvious that he's another one that's also obsessed. Uh, Philly, man, Brian, man, Yes, he really did go out of his way to photograph working women on the streets. He seems to have his own obsession with that. That's pretty clear to me. As a person who does not always comment, although I made a few comments on his shows, even, you know, throughout time, I certainly have, but not many. Um, I call things out for what they are. And in Philly's situation, yeah, he definitely had an obsession with the working girls. I mean, that was his whole show. But you see, Philly is, you know, he's a good marketer. You know, this is no, I mean, oh boy, if I come in here now, I'm gonna, ah, shit. My feet are wet. She just mopped the floor. Oh, I see what happened. It was a big rain here last night. And we have this one door on the dining room area that with a kind of a gutter leak or something that splashes the water everywhere around. And we have to towel it up. Hey girls. Hey girls. And okay, we're just getting back. Thinking about my leakage. If I had to formulate my own opinion, hello, I would say that yeah, Philly, he's a good marketer for his channel. I mean, look at the viewers he gets. Again, and I talk about time after time on my show is how do you get viewers? You know, it's the clickbait value. You know, Tim K does that. A lot of people do that. Philippines Antics does that. They all do. They all do. Um, if you don't like, I mean, like to not dead yet adventures. If you know, if he doesn't really like Philly, he thinks he's doing so wrong for YouTube. I don't understand why people just don't, you know, get his channel taken off, and he'll lose all those lovely revenues that he gets from his show, and that's it. He'd have to start from scratch. I mean, you don't have to talk about him. Just take action. That's all. Take action, and you have to restart again. Simple as that. However, you know, YouTube is not exactly very cooperative. I've had certain people threaten my life. They've done this, they've done that. They called me some horrible things. Although it worked once or twice and got him taken off, a particular individual, uh, for the most part, YouTube, you know, has a deaf ear and blind eye to complaints. It's very rare that YouTube acts on anything. And as I said, you're probably not dealing with humans. Everything is digital, you know, certain words that are used and it picks it up. It's just somehow, you know, I'm highly untechnical. It just picks it up somewhere and maybe to certain words and then it'll actually act on something. But YouTube is not uh, very cooperative in any way because I just don't think you're dealing with humans with blood flowing through the veins. It's all digitized, you know, it's all maybe it's certain keywords that work. And that's my theory because they're not going to have a million workers, 5 million workers that are going to handle reports all the time, and they're going to hire and spend all this money on salaries. You know, somebody's actually going to be at a computer and taking these complaints and actually looking at them and reading them. No, that's not how it happens. How it happens, I don't know. As I said, everything may have to do with certain keywords that is picked up on the complaints or something, and that's the only time they enact on something. And maybe if it does enough of these keywords and complaints, you know, that they do something about the channel and they take it off. But you certainly are not going to have like millions of workers drawing up a big salary collectively, you know, and, you know, they're going to be looking at all these reports individually. I just don't think, I just don't think that's what's happening. So if you don't like Philly for whatever reason, I mean, he's not my favorite vlogger. I have to agree, unfortunately, but I have to agree with some of the things that Not Dead Yet Adventures has to say about him, and what hundreds, if not thousands, have said about him. But Philly absolutely does have an obsession with, you know, and he moved. Look, That was his territory. That was his den, Angeles City. Okay, and for him to move out of Angeles City, something had to happen. The heat was on. He was going to get caught sooner or later by, I don't know, whatever. Maybe some chick that didn't like his photographic advances in their face kind of videography that he does. But you got to understand, there's one denominator to all this. It's money. I can't say this enough. It all has to do with money. I'm one of the rare people that, I've been monetized, and I could, certainly try to build a channel if I gave a shit. And there's ways of doing it, but I don't give a shit either way. I'm not dependent on YouTube revenue to keep myself alive and have food on the table at night. Um, some people have a lot less money than you think they do. Um, Philly probably makes a pretty good. You could always go to that one site and you could check out how much money people make. It's not exact, it's not a science, but you can go there and look up his channel name and see what his revenue is. And of course, it's approximate. It's not exact, but he's not making bad money. It's good supplemental income, but it's unfortunate that a lot of people depend on that income, like Philippine Antics, just to name a few, and people like that. Um, sure, it's okay to make extra money. Why the fuck not? But I think the question is how you go about doing it. Whether you Tim K with his clickbait and Philly with his clickbait, you know, it's all for the same thing. Paul in the Philippines, it's the same thing. They are smart, maybe not in nature, but smart when it comes to marketing. They know that clickbait works really well. Now, for the people that complain about people's channels, even mine, we all have choices. You can listen to it or you don't have to listen to it. And you have that ability to just not go there and listen to somebody else's channel. Sometimes it's more fun that way, of being a fly on the wall. But regarding Philly, yeah, there's a lot of question marks about the guy's character. I must admit that um, he was totally infatuated with Angeles City and the walking girls, the street girls on Walking Street, rather, and you know, he gets satiated by that kind of material. So for him to move out of the city, think about this, and move to bumfuck Egypt, where he decided to live in some shitty abode. I mean, look, the guy gets a pension and from where he worked, and he's making decent money on his revenue, and you would think that he would live in a better place. I guess you could say that about what's his name? Not 8 Mile. No, what's the other guy's name? 'Cause I don't listen to him anymore. I never, you know. Anyway, God, I forgot his name. He was always living in a dump. Lived in the barrio. Now he lives also in some dumpy abode in bumfuck Egypt. You know, interesting though. Why would you choose that? I don't know. Everybody has their reason and season, I guess, to do whatever they do. But I don't, I have no disrespect against the Filipinos and how they live, but that's not how I want to live. I'm getting older and I want to live in some kind of surroundings that's comfortable and clean and, you know, not in the middle of some jungle uh, in bumfuck Egypt, as he decided to do. he makes enough money to get a nice place for him and his family. Now, I'm not casting judgment on him. I'm just raising questions as to why he or anybody else would choose that. But he did. But I think, in my opinion, is that he got out of Angeles City because he had to. The heat was up too much on the burner. You know, he was getting to feel like it was becoming a danger for him to live there because he had a lot of viewers that support him, but he has also a lot of viewers that don't. And maybe the truth was coming out about him, and the heat was getting hotter. I don't believe the incident about his wife getting accosted on the street, getting robbed, and maybe that was the excuse he made. And he used that as the catalyst to move out of the area. Because it seemed to me that he was quite content with where he was living, and it gave him plenty of video opportunities every single day. There's always activity going on in Angeles City. There's plenty of street girls and that kind of activity, and you know, freelancers. And I like he makes reference to Freelance Park. Maybe that's. I don't think there's a park named Freelance Park, but I think that's one of his expressions, which is a particular park that you'll see a lot of freelancers. I think he enjoyed it. I think he had some kind of inert enjoyment out of photographing these women. And for him to move to bumfuck Egypt, what he did, there's definitely something behind that. But I want to give advice to, which I did to Not Dead Yet Adventures. He seems like a reasonably intelligent guy. His surroundings look very contemporary. I don't know what he did for a living. I don't even know if he's even living in the Philippines. And that's another thing that kind of always gets my attention, that people are so obsessed with the Philippines. If they're not living in the Philippines, it makes it even, makes a statement right there. What is their concern about what other people do in their channels if you're not even, living in the Philippines? And we get a lot of that. We know a few people that don't live in the Philippines that are totally obsessed with everything that goes on in the social media in the Philippines. And, what's that all about? I don't see many people commenting here. How interesting is that? Something good to listen to, isn't it, though? Yeah, it certainly is. So absorb what I say. And then we're going to go into a little thing about the California fire in a second, but I have something to say about that. Just get it all out on one show. Forgive my sniffing a lot here. You hear that a lot on my show, but every now and then my allergies act up, and I'll go like, you'll hear this a lot on my show. I'm not sniffing cocaine or anything like that, but my sinuses get kind of blocked. I haven't been taking any antihistamines or anything for a while, or maybe I'll probably start doing that, but yeah. But getting off that, my sinuses, that's another issue altogether, but it's not relevant on here. Um, People like to throw out a lot of shit about people on YouTube here, but, a lot of them can't take the heat when somebody comes on there and says, well, wait a minute, what are you doing with all your time? You're wasting oxygen, and you could say, I'm doing that right now. But there are times when I believe that you have that poetic license to say something if it's factual, not made up in hearsay or something to do with revenge, but actually if you have something to say that's actually factual, and you're not trying to clickbait your viewers, and you're simply trying to express your opinion about something that many others have expressed. But if you're going to, come on and do a show about somebody, have it based on facts, not speculation or wishes or just out of revenge. Just pretty much do what I do. Base it on what you've actually seen and heard, and not what somebody else says about another YouTuber. And I don't know much about this Not Dead Yet Adventures guy, but I never see him with a woman or talk about women. And he just seems obsessed with Philly. And I think his whole show was created really with only 500 or whatever subscribers he has. He's a newbie, but I think he's absolutely obsessed with him. It's pretty obvious. Get a girlfriend or something, and it'll get your mind off Philly. That goes to any other people. Get your life together and don't spend so much time on YouTube obsessing with somebody in the way that some people do. If you want to talk about them, be factual. Don't just do out of anger or revenge. Just say, hey, this guy is this guy is that. He did this, he did that. You got to back it up with supporting documents or anything else. Hearsay just doesn't work on here. You know, I could say a lot of things about a lot of people in here that may not be true. I could say it, even if I knew it wasn't true, but I could still say it. You have to back up what you say on here. So, Vikings back. Today is the ultimate test of the character he said he's getting. I don't know. I keep on hearing that. Has he been on Discord? Has he been? I don't see any posting of his. I don't see anything like that. But I do remember you guys saying that. And then I heard it. No, I didn't hear it. I heard it from somebody else. I think that was the show that he took down. That's right. God, how many times did I say it, guys? If his lips are moving, you know why. And what's going on with that? I could honestly tell you I don't know anything about him being transferred anywhere. Guilty of sin. Yeah, I know his show. I have not seen any new postings for a while on there. I know where he said it. I mean, I heard. Hi. Um, it's funny he'd have a title of that, Guilty as Sin, because that's exactly what he is. He's guilty as sin. So, you know, an autobiographical type of handle for his YouTube show. No, I don't know anything. I have no prior knowledge or anything about any kind of transfer and the reason for. Now, if they were legitimately going to transfer him, it probably has to do with his discrepancies of and so forth of using his phone and being more of a hassle at the facility. Then they just don't want him there. I mean, that's entirely possible, but I don't buy it. I'll tell you if I buy a story or not. I don't buy it. He commented yesterday. He still has his phone. See, right? Is Sick Grandpa on? He's supposed to have that new channel. I guess as you can see, I'm not seeing everything on here. Sick Grandpa has that new channel, but when I went there, all it is was one video, is a promotion of his new channel title, and I have not seen anything of Sick Grandpa. I have not seen anything. So you're saying that he commented yesterday on a couple of videos. On whose videos? On Ricky's? No, Grandpa is off 7 days. He got some very serious threats. So this is on his show. I don't know. Sick Grandpa ain't even on. I mean, he got booted, right? So I don't know, he was telling people on one channel to go to this new one or something. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Ricky is, speaking of the devil, Ricky is really, he's been taking a lot of chances with him. He makes Andy Omar look quite tame. He really does. Yeah, Ricky is another one that likes self-inflicted pain, either bodily, physiologically, or just with his mouth. It all catches up with people sooner or later. Brevis, everybody, it will. It just, you don't have to trust me. I'll just say it. You can trust me or not. Go with your instincts and, know their body of work that they've done, their resume, their portfolio, and just go with that. And he's not applying for a job here. But what he is doing, as far as Licky is concerned, and maybe some others too, is basically lining himself up for something to happen, either by someone on the street that don't like him or from his, you know, attacking people on his show constantly. And you got to understand something. There's some people that don't say anything. They absorb everything Licky and people like him would say, and they don't make comments. They don't do a show on him. They don't. They just take everything he says. And there are there are many people that are, let's just call it nicely, psychologically disadvantaged. That you just never know what they'll do. And that's a fact. Okay, let's see. The new thing is threatening to expose people. From who? Obama will pop up again. Yeah, of course he will. Mick, yeah, Andy, now Ricky, all threatened harm if they don't stop posting. God, speaking of psychological, I got this guy, Timmy, who I know is not the mantis, because the mantis would not, in writings, use words that he couldn't even spell, nevertheless sound very intellectual. The guy that writes me, I have an idea who it is, but the one thing I know, it's not the mantis. There's no way in the world that this guy could possibly put two sentences together that sound anything related to being an intellectual person. But Timmy writes me all the time, and he's off the wall. Now I don't even answer his emails. In fact, I might even change get rid of that email address. But he sends me movies to watch. This is the psychology on it. He's recommending movies to me. Insane, man. If he's not attacking me and threatening me to drop the case against the other guy, then he's saying, oh, I'm all on your side, you're right. Well, I'm worried about you. I don't want you to go through this emotional distress. It's not good for you. And he's talking physiological things, your blood and this and that, your heart and cortisol. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Man, it takes all kinds on here, man. I'm telling you, it just takes all fucking kinds. And one day he could write me and be very nice. I support you. And yeah, the guy should go to prison. And most of the other time it's intimidation that if you don't do this by a certain date, this is going to happen. You guys need to settle this matter. The guy, although whoever it is has some intellect, is quite disturbed. I guess that's the best word I could use on that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that, Viking, yes. Yeah, I thought about that. That's top on my list. Yeah, Brevis, he has some college. Brevis is not stupid. He's not stupid. I mean, he may do stupid things, okay? He may do things that are detrimental to his life. I mean, someday with his stalking and other things that he does that could work against him. But he's not, he's not a stupid person. His actions are stupid. The way he behaves is infantile, things like that. But he's not a stupid person. And he does stupid things like impregnating women and walking away from it. And I guarantee you, the girlfriend he's with, he had no intention to have a child. I'm reasonably sure about that. It just happened. And now he's a daddy. Now he has to be responsible. Well, he needs some responsibility. Absolutely. He needs to take on responsibility to himself. And being a YouTube troll, in the long run, I just don't think that's going to go his way or help him. Well, Aloe is always in the background. I'm actually surprised that Aloe has not been getting on with Popeye or doing a show or something. I'm actually very surprised. It's been quite a while since he was posting. I mean, look, nothing has surprised me. Oh, Aloe is behind a lot of shit, yeah. But so is Brevis. So is Brevis. Brevis is kind of like an accident waiting to happen in his life, and I don't mean from me. I know what Brevis is all about. I know enough about him to know that he's another very. I'm being polite when I use the word psychologically challenged. I mean, there's absolutely no question about that, and I think my viewers feel the same. He is a person that is starving for attention. I don't know why. His upbringing, I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know what drives him as a troll. I don't understand why he does the things he does. We know why pretty much he ran away from California because he was in trouble. You know, as I said many times, some people are running towards something and some people are running away. What are you looking? And some people are running. Go ahead. Some people are running away from something. That's pretty obvious. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna get some medicine on here. Okay? Just scratch that. No lift. Okay. All right. Oh. It's been a bad season for mosquitoes, I must say. If I do go outside to retrieve something or have a smoke or whatever, if you don't have any long pants on, you're going to get bit. No, we don't have a lot of standing water around here or nothing, but it's been quite rainy. We had a big rain overnight. Maybe that's why I woke up 2 hours after I went to bed last night. Ginger, stop scratching. Boy, I tell you, she's definitely having her problems. She's got allergies too. Always scratching. I use cortisone. I even use prednisone. It helped a little bit. Between her paws, she gets very inflamed. It could be fungus, because when a dog licks between their paws, it's creating moisture, and you get fungus from that. Ever read the book called The Fungus Among Us? Okay. Yeah, Brevis is trying to do everything to deport me. Well, he might be the one that winds up being deported. Who knows one day? He's going to do something that's going to get him deported outside of YouTube. It'll be outside of YouTube. I'll guarantee you. In a bar or something. Yeah. And as I always say, it all comes out in a wash. And it does. Eventually. Doesn't always happen overnight. But over a period of time, things build up and, well, there you go. Okay. Oh. But anyway, we were talking about Philly, but in general, it's really most people on here. You know what I say, that it gets pretty tiring to listen to some of this shit. So I have the advantage, and you have the advantage of not having to listening to all the garbage on here. Paul in the Philippines, all these people that are here for the money, they're here for the big bucks. They're going to do all the clickbait in the world to get you to go to their channel. It's just common. That's how you get people over. Get them there, find something that somebody done, and they're being nosy people and into drama, they're going to go there and listen to it. And they don't always deliver. They don't always deliver. That's what clickbait is about. Get them to go to the channel, get them to go there, and don't deliver. And most people don't deliver. And that's a fact. For what I've seen. I'm going to open this thing here. Damn. Hold on a segundo here. Trying to open this door, but the hatch doesn't. Who the hell is Reeve is saying about I have to shut my refrigerator to operate my air conditioner? That was one of the better ones. Hold on for a second, guys. Okay. Well, the best advice I would give the Not Dead Yet Adventures, since we really started talking about him, or I did anyway, he's another one that's trying to get into the drama, and it just has a way of catching up with you. And his focus, of course, is on Philly. How do I sum this about Philly? I never met him personally. Never. I always thought he was an oddball, though. I always thought he was an oddball. There was something that just wasn't right. And everything he did in Angeles City was very questionable. And what he tried to gear his topic matter about was very questionable. It's his gig. I mean, you may not like what Philly does, and a lot of people don't, but I don't know. To my knowledge, it never got him thrown off. Has he ever been thrown off YouTube? If you don't like somebody and you think they're actually doing wrong to violate the terms and all that and policy of YouTube, simply just report them. Because what's going to happen is all the views, all the subs go away, all his revenue goes away. I mean, that's do it kindly. No physical, nothing physical for the person. Just if you really feel his content is objectable and so forth, I mean, that's how you do it. But as I said, it's really hard to get YouTube to actually answer any of your concerns. Nearly impossible. I've made thousands over the years of reports on people that were not substantiated. They just, it just never happened. There were many times it did work, but for the most part, no. That's not the way to go about it. At least, from my experience. But it's certainly worth a try. Why not? God, what you doing there, Ginger? You want to go out? Come here. No? You want to go out? Do you want to go out? Come here. I was watching something with, what the hell that name's guy who's kind of like the dog whisperer. And it applies to people here on YouTube too. A certain amount of discipline you got to teach the dog, and you got to remove his ability to be the alpha male and put him in an element with his other alpha males and balance it out. Balance it out. He's so right about that. He came across one case with his sisters living with the other sister separately in another wing of the house. And she has a couple of German shepherds, one in particular, very dominant, big alpha male shepherd, wants to bite everything and everyone. He's very protective and very territorial. But when you remove that territory from you take that German shepherd who likes to bite. In fact, her sister had to have 30 stitches because of her sister's dog. And it's becoming a very volatile situation. So what happened was, what's the name of his show? I was watching it just last night, actually. You got to show this dominant dog that he's not that dominant when he's not the alpha male, when you introduce him to other alpha males to help balance things out, that he's not the king, he's not the king of his kingdom there. He's very protective to the owner, but to a degree, it's very dangerous for everybody else. So he had to show and actually put this dog around his very trained alpha male dogs, okay, and kind of like put him in his place to realize that he's not in control of everything. That was the whole purpose. He's not in control. Take him out of his environment at the house where he's very protective. Bring him elsewhere, away from the person he's trying to protect all the time and biting everybody. Put him against a bunch of other alpha males. Caesar, yes, yeah, thank you. I was watching it just last night. You think I'm watching all the bullshit on YouTube all the time. I watch a lot of stuff. It has nothing to do with the Philippines genre. Yeah, Caesar's pretty good. Caesar Milan. Yeah, he's pretty good at what he does. I'm sure he's gotten bitten a few times, but he seems to really understand dogs and how they think and operate. And dogs are very territorial, just like people. But this is mentioned only because this applies to a lot of YouTubers. Now, a lot of people like to throw names and call people things and all that, and they're not cool with what they do, and they like to attack people. But put them near some other alpha males, that kind of set them straight. Instead of them, when they're calling you all these names, you expose them for what they're doing. They become a chihuahua. But in retaliation, their bite is bigger. They continue to try to bite as that chihuahua, who doesn't control his world except for his mouth, yapping all the time. But put him around some very dominant, very alpha dogs or alpha people, and the dog will become timid. So in other words, it's really easy to label people and throw comments about people on social media. It doesn't matter if it's YouTube or whatever. Not really. But as an example, and you throw the truth, facts, not made up shit, and expose them with facts, and other people will catch on too, just like they like to follow people and say, oh, I heard this guy did that or he did that. They go along with the cattle, right? You see it all the time. But, when you show absolute proof of something, not made up, not edited, nothing like that, and on camera even, and more so, better, when somebody's actually committing these acts of these criminal acts or so forth, slander and so forth, and you provide adequate proof, then you're going to dominate these people, or they're just going to shut up for a while. But I've seen it happen all the time on here. Look how the Mantis reacted to my comments and my evidence. It knocked him down a few notches, didn't it? Especially in court, when it was actually presented. How could he not know? A good example, how could he not know that I had evidence on him? How could he possibly not know that? When a lot of times I've replayed some of the things he did, and on camera too. How could he be resistant to that? How could he be like scratching his head saying, where did he get that evidence? Where did he get that evidence? Are you kidding me? It was put on there for all to see or hear. How obvious can you be? Then he'll complain, I shouldn't be here, and this shouldn't be happening. No, you don't want it to happen. This particular guy, he's in that position because, face it, he put himself in that position. Nobody else did. He put himself there. I kind of helped it along the way, but in all reality, he put himself there. Viking says, "You did what had to be done." I did. Only hope that he gets deported and starts a better life. I mean, contrary to what you might believe, I've always been a believer that life is short. And even for him, I think he deserves, well, he should make an effort to try to change his life and change things around. Look, you can't force anybody to do anything they don't want. Maybe he likes the punishment because it's still some sort of attention, even though it's, against himself and everything he's doing. People who go out on a limb to get attention, and that's pretty common here on YouTube, whether it's clickbaiting, whether it's doing a drama show to attack somebody, it's all for attention. It's about money, but it's all about getting attention. Damn, I got like 4 bites. And it ain't fleas. They don't have any fleas. Doesn't take much. No, we don't generally get a lot of mosquito action around here, but it's always after a day or so after a rain. I don't know. They love my blood. I always thought the opposite because I never used to get many mosquito bites, but these little guys, you can't even see them. And they're there. You just don't know they're there. As I said, I'd have to wear this pair of sweatpants to go out, and that's what I need to do. Maybe it's a hassle to go, have to put on some sweatpants just to go out and take care of something or have a smoke or whatever the fuck you're doing while you're doing a show or whatever or otherwise. But it's actually a good idea, and I got exactly a very light pair of sweats that I could wear. And it seems that I have to do that, otherwise I'm just going to get bit all the time. God, I'm tired of scratching. See, only hope is that he gets deported and starts a better life. Well, he has to understanding about how I impress upon people on how life is so relatively short, and it could be a lot shorter for a lot of people. Um, I managed to stay alive and well to my age. I expect a number of more years, but it doesn't happen like that with everybody. And whether it's their own personal self destruction through, you know, well, bad habits, attitude, um, or just creating too much trauma in their life and getting hurt as a result of that. It all comes around, guys. It always does. I mean, I actually do believe in karma. I actually do. I'm not a religious person, but I believe in karma. I really do. Native Americans do, It goes around, comes around type of thing. I've seen it here on YouTube, and I think you've all seen it too. The heat was too much for Andy Omar. He just comes on as a troll under a different name, though. But that was a really prime example of somebody who was just really trying to intimidate everybody and trying to really dig deep with fault. But what happened with Tim K? He got scared, and Tim K was his big subject matter. Man, I got a bunch of bites. Have you been getting any bites? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. God, I'm scratching as I'm talking to you. Jesus Christ. Get to the bottom of that. Hello. Well, Barry owes it to himself to try to get his life together after all this is all over and done, whatever happens. As I said, your guess is as good as mine, but I don't think it's anything good, unfortunately for him. But Um, he really needs to get his act together. You know, he's 50. He's not terribly old. He's not terribly young. He's at kind of a, I don't know, midline area as far as age. People can get their life together if they really want to, but when he, continues on this pattern of destruction, it's just going to make his life fall apart even more. I mean, I realize you can't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do. He has to want to do it on his own accord, like many. But when you're in that direction, it's a very negative direction. You continue to do that. I mean, you can expect positive results. Are you really? He what? He claimed you refused to return the 50,000 he lent you for the case. Barry gave me 50,000. When did that? Where would he get 50,000 to give me, and why would he give me 50,000 for the case? I don't know. I have no idea what statement you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about on here. I refuse to return the 50,000 he lent me? Huh? Well, yes, pesos or whatever. Oh, oh, Mike Ross never gave me anything. It was an agreement. Mike Ross, Pennsylvania trucker, even Don C. Even Don C. said that they would give me 50,000 if I got him arrested on a case. No, none of them ever came through. That was all bullshit. 50,000. Nobody's ever sent me 50,000. Owe him money? No, Mike Ross owes me money. He's the one that came out that I'd give you 50,000 pesos if you could get things going on Barry. No, they owe me. They owe me. That's funny. I don't know any. Fuck that shit. They owe me. They reneged on a deal. Mike Ross. Oh, Mike Ross. Oh, well. Other way around. How many we have? I haven't even checked how many people are in here. It's 29. I think it was more earlier. Wasn't I haven't even checked the numbers. We got 8 thumbs up. Wow. Being very generous. So if you're trying to seek fame on YouTube by creating every single show, don't even have a topic matter, and you're constantly creating drama, it has a way of coming back at you. It really does. I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. Look at the guy that's incarcerated right now. It's going to go on 22 fucking months. 22 months. And by the way, that has nothing to do with his case. I don't know where people or he thinks that it's going to be time served. No, 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 no. I know that is a fact. One thing has nothing to do with the other. There's no time served in there. It's just a protocol thing that he did get caught for immigration, and they had to put him in there. But then, I got the case on him. And that's the way it works. As long as he has a case on him, they can't. They have to put him somewhere to hold him. And that's why he's in there so long. Until the case is over, then they could release him, either convict him, send him to jail, or since he has a summary deportation already, they could just send him home on his way and never be able to come back again. And some people would ask me, um, even the attorney at one point, isn't it what you really want is him to just get the fuck out of the country? Initially, yes. Initially. But then when he got those charges, and then he continued to actually use his phone in his cell, and he was at it all over again, then that, didn't even think about it anymore. I mean, there was no reason to just say, okay, just let him go on his merry way. No, there had to be punishment. There had to be. That was not good enough. It wasn't. It's not like he tried to kill me or rape me up the ass or something. It is what he said. If you want to go along with his philosophy, or maybe his supporters, that, oh, gee, he called you a bad name. Well, I'm not going to get into that again. You know what he said, and you know the ramifications of that. There are laws for that. It's not just the laws, it's the fact that he said it. And he didn't just say it once. It wasn't just out of anger. It was constant, okay? It was constant and continual. That made the difference. Yeah, there was a point where I could have said, well, I'd be really happy if they just support him out of the fucking country. He doesn't hurt anybody else and be done with it, never be able to come back again. That could have worked. It could have. I mean, that was the main goal, really, honestly. But then it got uglier. And then I started saying to myself, well, why the hell should I go easy on this guy? Why? I asked myself that question so many times. But the damage was already done. And he continued to damage me with every show he did. Just remember, there are transient people that come on his show that are not regulars, that hear his stuff. And he's talking about a guy that he calls as a sexual predator. And these people don't know his history. They don't know anything about even his channel. There are transient people that come to you doing a live show. People come in and out all the time. So his show has the potential of thousands of people seeing it over a period of time. That's thousands of people, and maybe a lot of them that don't really know what's going on. And, you know, they say if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? It's a big kind of a joke. And they'll take it for what it is, for face value. Yes, that could cause, he says, what damage did I cause? He caused a lot of damage. Yeah, he does suspect he will. But he'll give me the same line. You know, on a personal note, he'll say that, but on a legal note, he'll say it's up to the judge. Viking son says he is damaged by his father. He lashes out on you because of that. Well, you know what? That's not far from the truth, Viking. It's not. I truly think that's the denominator in all this. He's very bitter with himself in life and what happened to him. And you know, what happened with his father and what transpired. No, that wasn't cool at all. You know, you could maybe have compassion for him because of what happened on that event. But he's a grown ass man now. Okay? He's got to get over it. And I know it's almost like it's a PTSD, is what it is. He actually is suffering from PTSD, if you think about it. Post traumatic stress syndrome. And he's very bitter about what happened in his childhood. I'll understand that. I actually would. But that doesn't mean what he does is right. We understand what happened to him. And some people out there possibly could relate. Maybe it's happened to you. Nuns, priests, they've done their job. Oh, yeah. The Vatican had to step in on that one, pay the people off. They got enough money to pay you off. They don't want the Vatican, the church system to look, the Catholic church system to look bad. They'll just pay you off. But we won't get into that. Oh, I'd like to say just one thing, kind of out of topic here. In regards to the California fire situation, you know, it could be lying about that to gain donations. Yeah. Well, I don't know why he would even. Well, I don't even why he would even say that. If you got raped by your parent, are you really want to talk about it? Just like Philly, didn't he tell people they had a penis pump? Who would tell people that? You know, you might be out and open that you got erectile dysfunction like Ricky, and he shows you a bowl of fucking blue pills, but okay, to some level it might be acceptable. and saying, well, probably a lot of older guys probably do use that to help, but if they need it. But to tell people you gotta use a penis pump, I, I just think that's a little bit too personal. He did say that, Philly, didn't he? I mean, that went around. I didn't hear him say that, but I know people that were talking about that he was saying that on his show. So call it hearsay. We'll keep it at that if you want. But I've heard it more than once that he came on a show and admitted that. But anyway, getting off that again, California for a second. Okay, how many acres have been burned down? You're talking about prime real estate. And I'll make this short. Prime real estate. Whoever said it, whether it was intentional or otherwise, whatever, there's a fire, big fire. And they seem to be concentrating all the stars homes. Fuck the stars. They got money to rebuild their life. But there's a lot of people that live in those areas that have had houses since the 50s and 60s that bought for a couple of $1,000s. That's how they could afford to live in the Palisades area around Malibu Beach and so forth. You remember on a Mel Gibson movie, he was living in a trailer right on Malibu Beach or something on that movie, and yeah, you could own a piece of land. The way back then, you could get land pretty cheap. There's a lot of poor people living there, but anyway, besides that point, the point I'm making is okay. The fire was either set or whatever. Here's what happens: the insurance companies are pulling their hair out right now. And last year, because there were fires prior to this one, were pulling out on insuring any more people in that geographical area. They didn't want to go broke. So what happened now with this fire is that these insurance companies are having to pull out on other resources to be able to make these claims. In fact, the government stepped in and said there's going to be a year right now, a whole year straight that, these insurance companies can't renege on their insurance. They got a whole year. They can't pull out on the insured. They can't do anything like that. It's an obligatory thing on that. Now, examine the landscape. It's burnt down, right? Very expensive property, right? But here's how it works. Stars don't need a mortgage. They could just pay off or build a house. Okay, good for them. But for the average person, you would think that, okay, we're going to have cheap real estate now, right? Because it's in a fire-prone area. And chances are that it's going to be very hard to sell their land. You would think on one level, all the rich people that own land there, they're not going to recoup their money and what the land is worth. And many of them maybe don't want to rebuild. And they're going to get their insurance money, the ones that could afford it. But there's a law, actually, if you have a mortgage, fire insurance is mandatory. I had to have that in the Philippines. It was definite. You had to have hurricane insurance. The mortgage required that you have that, as the insurance companies are requiring in that area. Okay, follow me? So let's look at the land. Valuable land. It's going to create cheap real estate. There's this Lahaina thing in Hawaii that people thinking the same thing, but we'll concentrate on this. There's some controversy on that too, but this particular situation, the land there is very valuable. And the only people that are going to rebuild on there are people who have money and are not going to be required to have a mortgage, where the mortgage company is going to say that you have to have fire insurance. Because the thing is, you're not going to get a mortgage if you can't buy it in cash. And you could do what you want once you have the house. You could have insurance on it or not. Chances are there's not going to be any insurance available to anybody in that geographical area, rather. They're pulling out. The insurance companies are pulling out. You could have all this land, right? Valuable land on Malibu Beach and the most exclusive areas in there. So profiteers are going to say, damn, here's my opportunity when literally and figuratively, when the smoke clears. Here's an opportunity to pick up some valuable real estate for a dime on the dollar. Opportunity exists, but there's question. Knowing it is an area that, well, it's all burnt out, but it's going to grow back. Do you want to take a chance in buying real estate there that has the potential of burning down again? You have to have insurance, even if the mortgage company. But then again, there's not going to be any available insurance. So all the movies and everything you've seen where the stars live and the movies that everything was shot on Malibu and the Palisades area and that greater area is dead and buried. Mel Gibson, all kinds of stars. Paris Hilton, Billy Crystal, you know, a big list of famous people that like to emphasize over the average Joe. They're always interviewing the famous people. Oh, I took this big loss. They can afford to restructure their lives.
Off the light?
Off the light? Oh, okay. They could afford to rebuild their lives. But how about the average Joe? Ginger, stop it. Ay, ay, ay. They could afford to rebuild their lives. But you got to think back that a lot of people bought this land, a lot of them in the 50s and 60s. It was like the cost of a couple of $1,000. That's it. A couple of $1,000. Ginger, this dog is, man, I don't think I'm getting back on a prednisone. Allergies. Everybody with allergies around here. I think three of us. Well, let's see. Gilda's got a few of her own. Her son got allergies. I got allergies, and the dog has allergies. Sorry, that's off topic. Not uncommon for me. But look at all this land. Valuable land otherwise, other than the fires. And, well, the Santa Ana winds and all that had a lot to do with it, too. And I've seen the scenes on there where the cinder was blowing in like 80-mile-per-hour winds. And some of the cinder could have been as big as a piece of bread, you know, flying over everything. It was non-stoppable. And then on top of that, the water supply was out. That's just insane stuff going on here, man. A lot of heads are going to roll on this. The stars could rebuild, yes. The stars they could rebuild. They got the money to do it. They're all insured. The question is, do I want to rebuild? Some of them said they will. But they're always thinking about real estate value. And no matter what they build on there, another mansion or something, it's not going to maintain its value because it's a very vulnerable place for more disaster. This is a big disaster in California, man. This is actually huge when you think about it, and financially, and the whole, idea about the California dream and the beautiful homes along the coastlines and the Palisades. And I've been to California. I've seen some areas. I never went to Malibu Beach or anything like that, but I know a lot about it, and I know why they live there. It's an elite thing, The elite people live there, but the poor people live there. They're not really poor because you think about the taxes, actually. I mean, okay, maybe they got a house back in the 50s and 60s for a couple of thousand, and now their property is worth a lot of money. But what about their income? The high taxes that they have to pay. That makes some people move out of it. They just want to sell in their house. I can't afford to pay the taxes, but after all, it's the Palisades area, Malibu, and all those great names of wealthy beach areas that everybody settles in, on the cliffs, on the Palisades, or right on the beach. That's over. That is over. Like what's going on in Lahaina in Hawaii. We don't know who said it, if it was purposeful. A lot of controversy going on that. Rich people live there too. A lot of people with big names own property there. Well, right there in the Palisades too. So where do you go from here? Do you rebuild and go through this all again? You got to understand, a lot of people, and even the stars, you got to feel sorry in some way because they too have had valuables, collectibles, family memories, family pictures that you just can't replace. You know, a lot of memories, keepsakes that got burnt. So as a human, look at them as a human, not just a star with a lot of money. Yes, they can afford to rebuild their lives, but they cannot afford to replace their valuables. And when I say values, I don't mean gold and jewelry. And by the way, speaking of that, big shit going on now with looters, man. Big time, as you would expect. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, parts of why. And look, I came close to that where I lived, you know, the lava situation. And they were afraid it was going to hit Pahoa really hard. And they had to take a lot of measures to prevent the town from burning up. And even where I lived, it was on a ridge, kind of, but the lava could have built up enough to come into my community. It didn't happen. But anyway, I had fire insurance and all that. It was required. But, you know, you hear all the stars and you say, all you do is talk about these stars and what they lost. Somebody say, who the fuck cares? They could afford to rebuild their life. They could afford that. It's not a problem. It's the people that don't have that kind of income or status, you know, that they took losses. But the stars took You got to be fair about this in one way, whether it's Mel Gibson or Paris Hilton or whoever. People have had keepsakes. People have had photographs when they were young or their children growing up, and that's a big loss. Fuck the money too, you know. But now the looters, insane. They're hoping that they can go to the rubble of people's homes and possibly find some expensive jewelry. And look, I'm sure that the owners, the rich owners of these homes that went down, they went back to their property and they know exactly what they had there. If their precious things didn't melt down from the heat and still there, they could still sift through the rubble and collect them before the looters get to it. But that's the whole idea of the looters. This is the point I'm making. When there is a fucking disaster, the cattle of society, they are all cattle. I can't emphasize this enough. You know, the looters are going to be in there to try to get some kind of, how do I say, if the phoenix rising out of the ashes, the phoenix would be the valuables. They're going to be in there trying to get valuables and make money off a disaster. They do that all the time anyway, but in something like this, there's a lot of money in that area, a lot of valuable possessions. And if anything that did survive and they could sift through those ashes and find it, that's a score for them, man. But it goes to show you human desperation and greed and everything else, how everything gets out of control. When there is a disaster in the world, I mean, even the big blackouts in New York and other places, there was a lot of events when the lights went out, the looters went out. And when some guy was getting beat the shit at and got killed by a white police officer, if you remember those days, a lot of incidents, the community turned on itself. They looted their own community. The black community looted their own community where they lived. They were mad about the mistreatment of one of their people, and I don't blame them at all. They should speak out about that. I fully agree. But don't burn down and loot your own goddamn community. See people walking out with TVs on their shoulders and all this shit. Come on, dudes. Seriously. You're mad about something? Okay, same as YouTube. You're mad about something. You're upset about something, but there's a way of going about doing something, and there are ways that you don't go about doing things. There's a proper protocol to just about everything that happens. You don't make a situation worse by, like, looting your own community. Gosh. You know, it's like this everywhere, really. People will take opportunity of a situation. It's the same as they'll take an opportunity of going against somebody on YouTube because they decided that they don't like you. Okay, we understand that. But come on, seriously. You got to think sometimes before you do anything. Because just like in a fucking firestorm. Those cinders could change with the wind. And those cinders could change direction and come right back at you or your home or yourself. But people don't think about that. People just don't really concentrate on that. Everything you do has, you know, can always have another reaction from somebody else or something that might be worse than what they started. Gotta think about that. You know, the guy that's incarcerated thought it was really cool to say what he did on his show in regards to me. I might have some decent freaking shorts around here. Said all this really crappy shit about me and continued to do so. Where is he now? He's facing trial. I miss my point. Now he's got somebody else involved. I mean, you know, how? I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I can't control how somebody else is. But they have to come to some kind of conclusion that not everything you do is right. I mean, you have the right to feel the way you want to do about somebody, but it's what you do as a result of that, which causes your own ultimate destruction. It seems to work that way all the time, you know. Don't self-destruct is what I'm trying to say. Don't self-destruct. It's not going to do you anything. I don't know, I just think if you don't like somebody, just tell them you don't like them. You know, but don't go on a tangent, you know. Don't go on a goddamn tangent and do shows about that person every day saying things that you know potentially could get you into a lot of trouble legally and in some cases even physically. That's not called clear thinking. But, you know, as John Blaze says, you know, it is what it is. And he's right about that. Sometimes it is what it is. You create your own mess. Then you got to clean it up on top of that, you know. Don't you think that gets old after a while? You want to live your life, right? Okay. You live your life. But try to make the least amount of complications in your life. Now we know he's hell-bent on trying to see only bad happen to me. All right, keep it between you and me. If you have to go that far. You could have just told me I was a jerk or something and left it at that. But he went beyond belief of what somebody was trying to do to somebody else. He could have left it be. And just went on with his channel, try to make money, everything would be great. He could have paid his fines and immigration and be living a good life and be able to get married and everything he wants to do, right? But that's not what he did. So what? You're supposed to feel sorry for the guy? Come on, get real. I mean, really, get real. Thank you, Viking. Yeah, I mean, I like to cover a lot of aspects of life on my show. Because after all, I am alive, my heart's still beating, and I'm going to talk about life. I'm going to talk about even some elements of my life that I feel that I need to talk about. Of course, everybody knows my philosophy and everything, but, you know, there is a lot of philosophy, you know, in life. I mean, you're living the life now. You're not dead yet. I like the name of the show, Not Dead Yet Adventures. Weird guy, man. Very peculiar man. But why complicate your fucking life? No need. And I can say this 1,000 times, I'll say it again. This particular guy put himself in his own position. Just like Philly in the Philippines. A lot of controversy with this guy. What you do as a content on your show is going to determine whether people like you or not, or find fault with you. Everybody's going to find fault with somebody on here. You know that. That just goes along with the territory. You learn to live with it, or you just get off YouTube, or whatever you want to do, whatever you decide. But if they hit you personally in a way that is just not cool, man, then you do something about it. And you have choices. Meet the person, beat the shit out of them. But wounds heal. That's the problem. Wounds heal. But when you take it into a legal matter, that don't heal. And there's some ramifications. No, the body isn't hurt from, being incarcerated necessarily, but it is a lesson learned. As far as he's always saying, what am I here to learn? If you saw that last video, it's still on there, I think, of him saying, you're not teaching me a lesson, go fuck yourself, whatever, You're not teaching me a lesson, I'm just going to keep on going at you and going after you and going after you and going after you. Holy shit. A judge hears that shit, it's over with. It's over. He will definitely be entitled and undesirable because he deserves to be not only thrown out of the country, but to be convicted and spend some time in jail. I get tired of people saying, oh man, you just not showing any compassion to the guy, and I keep on saying the same thing, and I'll say it again, as many times as I have to say it. He doesn't deserve any compassion. If he did, I would be 100% compassionate. But there is no compassion for the man. He hasn't earned compassion. And I'm not the only one that he's talked about who did shit to. He's called other people, all kinds of names, did all kinds of shit on people. It's not just me, but I'm the only one that happens to have a case on him. Because people didn't have the balls to step up to the plate. I did. Okay. So what? I'll tell you what the so what is. That I didn't just stand by and be desecrated by this guy and ripped apart, contacting my girlfriend's kids, telling them I'm a child predator, the guy that your mother's dating. You know the story. It goes on and on and on and on and on. He deserves whatever is coming to him. I don't care if you're a troll. You know that too. The difference is there might be some people on there. As I said, it's all sock accounts mostly. And I'm sure there's some people out there that genuinely don't like me. For whatever reason. It don't really matter. But think of this. What do you really think of this guy? You know what you think about him. You know he deserves whatever he's going to get. Sorry, I got to make some oatmeal here. Got a big emergency around here. I'm running out of blueberries. I got some blueberries, but they're so overly frozen. They got freezer burn, and I don't know how good they are. I was kind of reluctant to have them, but I may decide to defrost them anyway. Cup of tea. All right, maybe we'll leave this off at that. And we got 25 strong and 10 thumbs up here. Last words from Viking Son. A good show today, sir. Thank you for that. When I put a show on, call it a show, live stream, I'd rather call it. Look, I try to present facts about something because it's a waste of my oxygen to just make up a lot of bullshit. I call things as I see them. That's 30, no, 24. I call things as I see them, as I hear it, as I can prove. But a lot of people, they can't do that. They'd rather just spread a bad word about somebody and hope it catches on. That's what's been going on YouTube. And historically, this has happened to a lot of people. There's a big list: Johnny Warrior, Peter Van Dever. I mean, Joey was controversial too. Joey, and there's a number of people on here that were very controversial throughout the past almost like 10 years or whatever. They were all attacked too the same way. People were doing research on their personal lives and all that, which, again, brings me to the statement that I think if people paid more attention about their own lives, not worry about everything else that's going on with somebody's channel or somebody else's personal life, then they're living life. What's living like? Does it mean parachuting out of a plane, climbing a big mountain to show your prowess as a man or whatever? I could do this, or Fazio's sake, I could operate tools, so therefore, henceforth, I'm a man, I'm a real man. No, you got to prove you're a real man by not trying to prove you're a real man. Okay? Good one. To prove you're a real man, you don't have to try to put things out there to prove you're a real man. You know you're a real man. You don't have to operate a certain tool, have a certain kind of a job to be a real man. That's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. A real man could cry. A real man could admit guilt and fess up to their crimes. A real man will have compassion when it's due, if it's due or necessary. But a sick man will just continue on a path of destruction that's not going to do them any good. Yes, I am factual on my show here, and I'll argue that till the proverbial cows come home. They're right across the street. I do base my show on fact, and that's a fact. There's nothing I've ever talked about on here that wasn't actually factual, except, the tree, or Starbucks, or whatever. That was choreographed. I do choreograph some stuff on here. Most of my stuff is not choreographed, to be honest with you. But I have choreographed some stuff on here. And people bought it hook, line, and sinker. Like I like to say periodically, there's a method to my madness on here. I just let people be themselves, and they catch themselves in wrong all the time. And that's how they get into trouble. I just, put out a few bits of bread, and they go for the bread. And there you go. They continue picking up these pieces of bread. And I don't know, they just get themselves in trouble, okay? And like in this particular situation, he got himself in a world of trouble. A world of trouble. But he did it on his own, man. It gets tiresome to hear some of the comments on here. Oh, you did this to him. You did this. No, I did not do this to him. Let's just get that straightened out once and for all. He did it to himself. I beg to differ. He did it to himself. Now he's paying the price. Now revenge was in the air. Oh, yeah. Revenge was in the air. It certainly was. Let's get my girlfriend to do this and do that. I'll show him. Well, like I keep on saying, that wasn't the most educated move you could have done. And I'm not going to get into that discussion again. You know what I said in one of my prior shows, that there are ramifications to anything you do. Some people have to pay the price for what they do. Look, you can make up anything about anybody you want, but it doesn't mean it's real. It doesn't mean somebody committed a certain crime when they never did. It all sounds good on paper, but the reality of it, it comes back in your face. Oh, we got here. Hold on. God, these are frozen to death. Fuck, I'm going to use it anyway. Why not? Spent money on this. Got a bad case of freezer burn with these blueberries, baby. Blueberries. That's the answer. That's the answer to world peace, world health, world crisis is fucking blueberries, man. We only concentrate on good things, like good things you could do for yourself, rather than worrying about what you think are bad things other people do. And have a bowl of oatmeal with some blueberries. Take a couple of deep breaths, relax, breathe through your nose, hold it in, suck it in for 4 seconds, and then slowly blow it out for 8 seconds. And you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. you'll relax. Get your tension out, folks. Get the tension out. Viking son, no one is perfect. You fessed up in the past. I did. I did, Viking. Any kind of, I don't know if you want to call it discrepancies that I've ever done on YouTube, I addressed them 3 times, actually. Out of anger, if I said something that wasn't cool, whether it was Ed Lippert or whoever, I came on a show. If you guys have been following me long enough, you know that if I said something wrong out of anger, hey man, I apologize about it. And if you've really been watching my show for a long time, then you know that to be factual. If you do something wrong, fess up to it. I'm glad someone remembers. Never claim to be perfect. In personal life or on YouTube. Never. If you do something wrong, you do something wrong. But there's a difference. The difference is, do you continue doing that same thing that's wrong all the time? Are you angered perhaps once? You said something that wasn't cool, that everybody could deem to be not cool, but you recognize your mistakes and you say, you know, man, I got caught up in a vortex, famous word, and I admit that there were some things I did that was not cool. But you don't harp on it. Say what's on your mind. Recognize if you did something at fault. Admit it and get over it. But to continue doing the same thing over and over again, that's a whole different ball game altogether. So with that being said, I'm going to enjoy my... No, these are actually good. I let them defrost in the hot oatmeal, actually. It'll like lip smacking. There's a lip smack for you. You want a lip smack? Does that bother you? Does that bother you? Why does Frank lip smack all the time? I don't realize I did that. Which is sound when I'm eating something, yeah. But it's like I'm out here fucking burping all the time. Every fucking 5 minutes, you're fucking burping. Now that's disgusting and that's irritating. All right, Viking son or anybody, how would you summarize this whole shit? One question. If you had to put it in a sentence or paragraph, how would you summarize this whole shit that's going on? How would you summarize it? And be honest. How do you summarize all this? Okay, better yet, maybe an addendum to that question. If it was you, how would you deal with it? How would you deal with it? What would you do that maybe is same as mine, or maybe a different direction? How would you deal with it? It personally hit you, right? Give me your thoughts on that before I shut the show down. Summaries that mistakes were made. Yeah, I'd say so. That's well put, straight to the point. But do you feel, under everything that you know so far about what's been going on between me and this guy, do you feel he should be exonerated from this? Do you feel that, oh, just send him back home and get rid of him? Or because of the damage that he's caused, would you still pursue a court case? I'm not going to challenge anything you say, because I'm the one that brought up the question. These things could hit you pretty hard. It can hit your pocket very hard, hit your emotions very hard. You could you'd say, well, don't take things too personally. But I did take things personally because it was very personal on what he said about me. So people wonder all the time, follow your heart, that's all you can do. Well, my heart tells me and my mind tells me that I've done the right thing. How's he going to change in a positive way unless he's to be made to realize that you can't be above the law all the time, and you can't be that, he talks about his freedom of speech, but this is not America, for one. And yeah, there is freedom of speech right here in the Philippines, but even that is limited. For example, you can't go to a rally. If there's a Philippines rally out here, some political rally, you, as a foreigner, could even get arrested. And a nun did once. A nun. You could get arrested for attending a political party that you're not even a born citizen of this country, so you could actually get arrested. And that happened. There was a nun in particular, a nun, that got arrested for attending one of these political rallies out here. Oh, look, I'm not that much of an oatmeal fan. I'd rather have like a granola or something here, but I eat oatmeal for the fiber and other values it has, but no, I'm not really a big oatmeal fan, but I eat it more for healthy reasons rather than taste. I'm not actually an oatmeal fan at all. I do things for a reason. Everything in my life. There's always a reason why I do or say something. I know you said follow your heart and that's all you can do, but that's what I am doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. Anyway, let's quote John Blaze again. It is what it is. And, people are, okay. The newest thing is people are saying that, you're actually trying to threaten his girlfriend. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not threatening her. And I was trying to, the word was extort. You're trying to extort her to drop her case or else. Well, it's not extortion. We're talking legal matters. Okay. Tit for tat. We're talking legal matters. In other words, if you want any cooperation, you have to show cooperation. And I think it was entirely unfair to me. I think it was horribly revengeful from Goober to have her do this. A lot of ramifications with this. There's a lot. And I wasn't lying about that either. I wasn't lying at all saying that there are ramifications for what you do and what she did. I just bring it out and talk about it. Can I make a guarantee on something? I can't make a guarantee on anything. But it doesn't look good for her. That's all I was trying to say. I wasn't attacking her in any way. No extortion going on here. That I'm trying to intimidate her. I'm not trying to intimidate her. I'm just trying to let her know that by her going along and being pressured by her boyfriend to do this report, added to exacting revenge against me, was probably not a good idea. That's all I'm saying. And of course, when it comes to my own ass, my own self-protection, again, I'm not going to sit there and just let this happen. I've got a lot to lose, as you would too. Hell of a lot to lose. So if he loses that, or she loses that advantage point of putting that sword over my head, if you don't dismiss this case, I'm not going to drop the charges. That kind of thing. Now, that's a chess game going on here. But you got to balance out what the end results of this could be. Because if a person does something for somebody else, as she did for Barry, and it's found out that it was all bogus and it was perjury and all that shit, it's the truth. Not lying about that. It could come back in your face in a really hard way. I wasn't lying about that. That's how I feel about it. And with relatively short communications with my lawyer regarding that topic, and it was not a huge topic between us, but it was talked about. And yes, he said that. And he said that he would look into it. But as far as he knew, yes, there are pretty strong laws on here about harboring and aiding, abetting a fugitive. And that's exactly what he was. He was a fugitive. He was hiding from the immigration. That's a fugitive. That's a fugitive. You know he did something wrong. He's a fugitive. Need I say more? You could candy coat this any way you want. Well, it's my choice if I want to talk about Barry. No, the difference is I don't really prefer to be talking about him. It's not something I really want to do on my show. I'm not going into minute details on the case because there's a lot people don't know that I will never divulge on here. I might know a hell of a lot more than I've ever talked about on here. And actually, I do. But I'm not privy to discuss direction, where it's really going, and what I actually know already. Whether it's about immigration or whether it's about his case. I already know a lot of shit. But I'm not going to discuss it publicly on here. I don't know, let it be a surprise or something in the end or whatever. Believe me or don't matter to me either way. But there are ramifications from all of this shit. And of course you're going to fight for your ass if somebody's put in charge. It's just like, look at all just Hollywood stars. It doesn't have to be, could be lay people, singers, songwriters, people in the industry that, seemingly have a sterling reputation. But then somebody out of revenge, or maybe a divorced wife or whatever, decides, well, I want revenge on him. All they have to do is yell rape. Or come up with some lame stories because they want to get more money out of their husbands or whatever. You can say anything you want, but the problem with that is it can backfire, and that's the problem. You can say anything you want, you can put any allegations against somebody that you want, but you have to prove them. And if you're lying about it, a lot of times it will come back on you, and then you're going to wish that you never did it. It's always better in a situation, whether it's divorce and it's over money and whatever your situation is, to be honest about the situation. Because if they find out that you're perjuring yourself and all that, yeah, it could have ramifications, and it generally does, guys. It generally does. And usually will. There's certain things that we are in control of in our life, and there's certain things we're not in control of. But one statement from somebody could ruin somebody's career. And that happens over and over and over again with a lot of innocent people. Over and over and over and over. So the person's on the other end of the stick. He has to defend himself because someone marred his reputation. Maybe the whole career, is dependent on their reputation, which has always been known to be possibly a good reputation. It could affect their income, it could affect their career, it could totally affect their life. So obviously you're not going to sit back on something like this and say, oh yeah, just let it happen. It's okay that this guy defamed you in such a horrendous way. He didn't call you stupid, didn't call you an asshole, though he's called you that before. This is a serious matter. And I have to take it seriously. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't address this situation. I couldn't live with myself, man,
Anthony said hello. Using these other guys' rationale, any Filipina can accuse you of anything and you're supposed to accept it. He said, that's insane. That's my point. I'm not accepting it. And if we have to take this thing further, let's just say that immigration decided, well, I don't know, we're going to go with her complaint and go for it. Maybe we'll recommend deportation on the guy. Well, that's the turning point. That's when anyone, me or anyone else under that situation, has to take drastic action and prove this person to be perjuring themselves, and everything is going to lead back to them. They're going to be legal matters that they're now going to have to handle. They thought they were helping their boyfriend out. I understand about being honorable to your mate. We all are. I'm honorable to mine. She's honorable to me. But in a situation like this, that went really too far, she decided to cooperate with him and put in a complaint against me, not thinking and not sitting there thinking about the possible ramifications of such. Sure, the immigration thought it was worth looking into. They're constantly under investigation mode. I mean, they're not spending all their time on me. But to the various people in immigration in that department, they have to look at all the documents, counter affidavits, and the last thing was a memorandum. They have to look at this professionally. They got to put two and two together and say, okay, guys, do you think there's a possibility that this is all done on revenge? And for what we submitted, and of course I'm not going to talk about everything we submitted, but for what we did submit, because I don't throw my paperwork on like the other guy does. For what we did submit, I could tell you that any reasonable representative of immigration would look at this and say, yeah, it sure seems to me that this is exactly what's going on. It's a revengeful act from somebody who's in jail, is not happy with his situation, and decided to get his girlfriend involved. We have definitely, I could tell you, submitted this kind of stuff. Oh, absolutely. So it's a wait and see game. But it's not a game. I'm calling it a game, but it's not a game to me. It never was a game to me. It never will be a game to me. There's no contest here. Nobody's going to win an award, although he should win an Academy Award with all his lies. Yeah, it is insane, Anthony. I know it's insane. And everybody that's been following this shit, they're all saying, man, this is fucking insane. It is. That it had to go this far. I hate even bringing this shit up all the time, and I wind up talking about it because it's in some respect, it is worth talking about, because if somebody learns something from this whole thing, then I've accomplished something. That you think you can get away with certain crimes on social media, but that's not true. And I remember even him making a statement saying, I don't know, I never seen of anybody getting convicted over calling somebody a bad name. Well, I guess you're not doing enough research. Or you're just too stupid to find that information. Plenty of people. It's not just the pogos that are in trouble. They're not just concentrating on the pogos, although that is a big concentration. They're more important than anything else, the pogo situation. It's major. They're making big arrests. There's so much corruption out here with foreign nationals that move here, having illegal gambling operations and so forth, and scams. Anthony says, and both of them putting up and then removing their New Year's Eve party video reeks of guilt, and her hiding her, faking her depression. Yeah, that's my point. And that's exactly what we bring up and showed proof of to immigration. I think they're able to put two and two together. And I have to tell you something. I'd be awfully surprised if it didn't go my way, if the immigration didn't dismiss. I'd be awfully surprised. That, who knows? Were they paid off? I don't know. I can't tell you that. And I'm not going to make such a statement saying that, yeah, you bastards or something like that were paid off. And that's how you made your decision. I'm not going to say that because I really don't know. And it wouldn't help my situation if I accused them of being paid off. Because I don't know that as a fact. So I'm not going to say it. And I wouldn't say it anyway. Because that would have ramifications. I'm smarter than that. Could that happen? Anything could happen. Anything is possible. It says the very fact that they are drinking booze on jailhouse property. Yeah. I mean, right there. What does that say right there? As I said, I would be really surprised. I mean, I'd be super duper pooper surprised if they said, well, okay, we're going to approve her, request for deportation based on what? No, there would have to be some foul play in here somehow. I'm sorry, but on another thought, because what we presented, and I'm not going to tell you everything we presented, except the obvious, obviously the party and this and that, and even a statement from him himself, an audio clip that was produced as a memorandum to the BOI. That says everything right there. On that alone, that he coerced his girlfriend to put the complaint on me to get me the fuck thrown out of the Philippines, get deported. You all heard it. Did I make that up? Did I? Tell me, did I make that up, or did you hear that with your own ears? You know you heard it. And he knows he said it. Yeah, I want this saga to be over just as much as he does. But I'm not willing to give in. I'm not going by his terms. Fuck his terms. The damage is already done. No, he's never going to be able to make up financially what I spent on my attorney and stress levels, which is not as high as you think it is. I've had my moments where I wanted to jump through the fucking camera and do something, but obviously that's physically impossible. But most of the time, I'm just taking this in stride. I'm just doing what I need to do. I'm cooperating with my lawyers. They're cooperating with me and the court, everything else, and, status quo. I'm doing what I need to do, but I will say it again. And this is not, I'm trying to extort somebody. That's a lot of bullshit. I'm not trying to threaten or intimidate her. I'm not. I'm just telling you the facts that I don't have a case against her. I don't have a case against her. Not now. But I tell you what, and people think I'm broke and I can't afford it. Look, the guy is already facing a pending second case on him. That's not helping him. It ain't going to help her with her so-called interest in the relationship she has with him. That's not going to help her at all. They'll never be together the way they want. Let's put it that way. That's just number one. Maybe more like number two. The number one thing is that her involvement in this is very critical in this discussion because she decided to go along with what he asked, not thinking that there could be consequential things that go on as a result of that. If she's found to be perjuring herself, she's in big trouble. So if the immigration says, no, we're going to dismiss this complaint, it's over. She's going to be in a very vulnerable situation. Now, I have a choice. That's all I've been talking about on my show, and I'll explain. I have a choice at that point. I could call her every expletive in the world and say to her, okay, so-and-so expletive, that you tried to pull this on me to get me deported. I'm not going to sit here and just let you lollygag away on this and go on with your life. Or, number two, basically, if that did go through, okay, if it did go through, and because of the fact that I would have to further more mitigation, litigation, go through different channels again to challenge it, yes, that's when I will unleash the hounds. And perjury charges and aiding and abetting and harboring. Oh, you bet I will. Try me. Triple dog dare me if that happened. And it's not intimidation. No, it's not. And it's not an act of revenge. It's all legal. It has to do with justice, not revenge like Barry was trying to do with me. It's not revenge. It's justice. It's fairness. It's allowable. It's even necessary. So you got to rethink the way you might be thinking on this. Put yourself in my position. You do the same. That's what I'm doing. Oh, I meant what I say. Remember, there's a pending second case on him, and if I had to put a case on her, I will. She knows she's wrong. She knows she gave a bunch of bullshit information. She knows she did. She knows she did it to satisfy Barry. She knows it. The good Catholic girl that she is, okay? Man, she must be in that confessional booth every fucking weekend. I'm thinking, my opinion. 10 Hail Marys ain't going to solve her problem when it comes down to this. Sorry. It's not. Her problems are just starting. No intimidation, no threats, no extortion, none of the above. Just fact. And sometimes you got to fight back on a situation regarding your own character and how somebody is defamed and defiled and just shit on you for a long time. They want to see nothing but harm come to you. In his case, he deserves everything that's coming to him because it's factual. And you've all seen his shows. You've heard him, what he said, both on and off camera. There is no doubts about what he did. And don't shit me on things like, oh, I would do things differently and da-da-da. No, you wouldn't, man. No, you wouldn't turn the cheek and all that stuff. That's bullshit. When it gets that personal, it could affect your family, it could affect how people think about you, about your character. You know, you're not going to sit there. You're going to get a fucking lawyer, or you may decide not to get a lawyer. Whatever your preference is, you might decide to meet up with that person and beat the living snot out of them. You have that choice to do. I would recommend a legal avenue because it has more punch to it, more lasting effects, because you beat the shit out of somebody, they're going to heal. They're going to heal. Their wounds are going to heal. Their bones are going to, heal. In the legal system, you're not going to heal. That's a lot more punch legally than doing something physically to somebody. There's a lot more punch. Thomas is asking me, I don't know who you are, but wouldn't it be up to the DOJ to go after? Yeah, it would be. It would be. However, you could file a report with the DOJ. Just like she filed a complaint on me with immigration, to answer your question. Same thing. If this shit hits the fan, gets worse, I'm not going to have any choice. I'm not going to have any choice. Hey, look, I'm not worried about the money. Money can be replaced, but your dignity, your character, when somebody's soiling it like that, sometimes you can't get out of that. Because one person tells another person something about you, they're going to believe it. Well, you know the old saying, if it's on the internet, it must be true. How far from the truth that is, right? So if you respect yourself, respect your own family, you're going to do something about it. And when somebody has the gall, when somebody has the vagina fluid to put a complaint on somebody unnecessarily and unwarranted, except for the hard-ass influence from a partner of theirs, that's wrong. Get out of the Catholic Church system. That's what I say. Stop going to church because you just fucked it for yourself with the big man in the sky. If that's what you're really all about, whoever you may be out there, if that's what it's really all about, don't go to church. Because the chances are you're going to burn in hell. No matter how many Hail Marys you say. is the expert chief PH. Have you had any other legal issues in the Philippines besides with the guy and his girlfriend? Yeah, one other with a guy from Facebook. That's still ongoing. I don't think he's even living in the country, but I have another hearing coming up on that. It's a small potato situation, but it's actually related. It's actually related. He didn't go as far, just two people. And the only thing I ever had on here was with Michael Fazio, who tried to put a cyber libel case against me and he lost it. He didn't have any evidence to support it, so they threw the case out. I don't have a bunch of cases on people all over the Philippines. That's all bullshit. There's two people I'm dealing with, a guy from Facebook, which is a little less degree as far as like Barry's case, you know. No, that's still ongoing. It probably will be. Will that come to fruition? At some point it will. In fact, I don't care that much about the case at all, really. I mean, I care about it, but I just have to be a character that don't like to be attacked, that don't put false information out on Facebook or YouTube or some social media that can't be backed up with the truth. And they think they're doing something to help a community. Oh, this guy's a child predator. Where did he get that shit from? He got it from YouTube because Warren or somebody sent him all these videos and shit, and he decided to post it on Facebook, and, well, he got in trouble. Friends said they saw that. It's a small community. They know everything that's going on. They know everything on Facebook. And we were told about it, and we investigated it, and lo and behold, we found out this guy was posting shit about us because he heard, see what I mean, when I said this about this earlier? How it gets around. He heard something on YouTube about me, and he decided to post something on his Facebook. And he had viewers that were saying, yeah, the best way to get rid of the guy is, you know, kill him or something. And I mean, you don't put a case on somebody unless it's necessary, unless it's really necessary. Remember, you have your own reputation to think about. You got to live in this town, you got to live in this country, and you're going to do everything you can to fight against the bullshit. If it gets really deep and ugly, you have to defend yourself. You have to be very proactive in situations like this. He did something similar, but not as bad. No, I don't have cases on everybody. I'm not putting cases on everybody, as the trolls say. I'm not going around putting cases on trillions of people. I'm not doing that. Just a couple of people, Barry and this guy. And I didn't put a case against Michael Fazio. Fazio tried to go to the, what was it, NBI? Been a while. He tried to say I did this and did that and did this. He couldn't prove it. So they dismissed it. People say, well, Frank is losing all his cases. What cases am I losing? What am I losing out here? I'm not losing any cases. I didn't lose a case with Fazio. He lost a case. Let's get that correct for the record. He lost. He couldn't produce evidence that's going to be acceptable to NBI. It goes to show you that they're very particular what they're looking at. Unless it meets the guidelines of everything, that they're going to throw it out. That's what they did with Michael Fazio. This other guy, the Facebook thing, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. He might just get away with a fine, but he moved out of the country is what he did. Because he knows, and for everything he's been following, because he follows this whole thing, he knows that there's a distinct possibility he could get some jail time for what he did. So he's out of the country. Last I heard, he's still out of the country, but the case still goes on. His lawyer still defends him, even though he's out of the country. It's not going to stop because he's out of the country. He just wanted to make sure he removed himself from the Philippines, which is what Barry should have done, and people said it, before anything happened to him. Before he'd wind up in a goddamn jail cell like Barry. He was smart enough, so I'm getting out of the country, going back to Chicago. That's what he did. As far as I know, he's still there. He's still there. Hope that answers your question. And I do got to go. We're getting that, there we are at that 2-hour mark. We're getting famous for that lately. But we did cover a lot of shit on here, man. Talking about the California fires and the ramifications of property and insurance or bailing out on people. It's never going to be the same in that area again.
Say goodbye to the Palisades as you know of it. If you've been there, we're fortunate to go to some of these beaches like Malibu and other beaches. Now, by the way, it was only about 7 miles from the Hollywood sign. If that would have continued, Hollywood would have been over. If that got itself right into Hollywood town, that's it. Hollywood would have died. It's dying out anyway, by the way, if you didn't know that. A lot of people, the tax advantages of doing films in other countries, such as Canada and Vancouver is a place that always, a lot of films are coming out of there. And everything has a cataclysmic effect. You got to remember that. Whether it's something you do on YouTube or an industry of some sort, or whether it's a geographical area that's popular and with tourists and rich people and has all this clout of being the home of the wealthy and well-to-do people that can afford to live there and the amenities they live in their life, even that's taken away from these people too. Sure, they can afford to rebuild and all that, but as I said earlier, a lot of people can't. They bought homes there for a couple $1,000s back in the 50s. Imagine what it's worth now. They're taking a loss. Not really in a sense, because they only bought their properties for a couple of thousand. But being that they live in that area, and they know that their $2,000 house has now become more like several million at least, they are taking a loss in a way. But they're not. If they never intended to sell the house, they're not taking a loss. But for those that were thinking about selling their house, yeah, they got a loss. Okay, guys, I think we've burned out both ends of this candle. And let me go do what I need to do. Thanks for listening. And you guys got to make your own conclusions on all of this. I think you know I'm right. There's a lot of wrongdoings going on, and there's a price to pay for just about everything. I don't think, in my mind, it's going to go very well for him. And according to what happens with her complaint, not a case, but a complaint, things may not work out very well for her. The fact is, and I said it, no extortion, no intimidation intended. She has to sign an affidavit with my lawyer. She likes to travel, go into Cebu. Find his address, make an appointment to go see him, sign an affidavit, and tell the truth. Under those circumstances, I do have control. No, don't put any charges on her for perjury, aiding and abetting. I'll let that go. As my word, I will let that go. I don't have to. But I will, and get that over with. But she has to be honest about it. No, she was enticed by her boyfriend, or she just decided, I'm invalidating my complaint. I did this out of anger, and they're not going to do anything to her about that. If she admits that, they're not going to get the DOJ involved. She'll be clear to go. No worries. She'll be clear to go. And I also, in the sidelines, will not do anything else. Yes, it is an ultimatum, yes. Call it anything else you want. No, it's an ultimatum. That's all it is. It's an ultimatum saying, hey, man, cooperate with me, I'll cooperate with you. I just told you how I'd cooperate. That's up to her. It really is. It's not up to me what she decides to do. I'm just saying, and being very frank, excuse the pun, being very frank about it. I'm saying that there's good things that happen with cooperation. And when you don't, there are bad things that could potentially happen. Can I make a guarantee on anything? No. I mean, as far as ramifications, I mean, if she stays in that direction and stands behind her complaint, well, could have its ramifications. And it very well could. And as I said, if it don't go in my direction as far as a complaint with immigration and all that shit, yes, I already answered that question. I will pursue this. Oh, I hope you heard and recorded what you needed to do today. I stand behind my statements. I will continually stand behind them. I'm not going to change a goddamn thing I talked about on here. No reason to. Fact is fact. Fiction is fiction. I like to present the fact. I have no reason to lie on here. No reason.
I have absolutely no reason to lie. Anything I produced on here was from what they put on YouTube and what they said and what I captured on video cards and so forth. Screenshots, you name it. Got it all. Lawyers got it all. And got a lot more than that. A lot more than that. I got enough to make 5 cases out of this guy on different levels. Okay, I'll gather there's no more questions. I'll get off here. Thanks for listening. And I don't know what else there is to say about this because, in some respect, I know as much as you do. I'm just going to follow this out and see where it goes. What choice do I have, really? I don't have any choice. Just follow it out. And I believe that regarding him, yeah, it's, oh, okay, about this January 14th thing. Today's the 14th or something. I didn't check the calendar. I don't buy the story that he's going to Big Ten. No proof has ever been shown on that. And of course, when his lips are moving, you know what's happening from there. It's just trying to get sympathy from people, whatever it might be. Apparently, he still has use of a phone. Maybe not his, or maybe his girlfriend comes over, whatever, a guard's phone. But he's still leaving comments on YouTube. You all know that. Okay? You all know that. So he hasn't stopped. Get my point? He doesn't know how to stop. He deserves everything that's going to happen to him in spades. If I could do more, I'd do more. And I could. As I told you, there's a second pending case on him. But we're going to take care of business first and handle this. But, as I said, I'm not going to go ahead with the second case. If there's some kind of cooperation, I think that's fair. Like he's holding that sword over my head with his girlfriend's complaint, I'm holding a sword myself. And it's real. It's a very sharp, two-sided sword. And I'll use that sword. Legal sword. To accomplish what I need to accomplish. There has to be cooperation. If there's not, no expectations. It's going to be positive on his doing or hers. But like I keep on telling you, I don't hate this woman. I never even met her. I can't make a total judgment on her. I never spent time with her. She's just appeasing her boyfriend is what she's doing. But didn't think about what she was doing. I didn't force her to make a report on me. But apparently his boyfriend had a lot to do with it. I don't think she would have done this on her own. Now, some people were saying maybe there was money involved. Maybe some of the supporters of Barry and or her supporters were gathering some money and said, you know what? Come on, do it, man. Do it. What do you got to lose? Hey, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe she got a little bit of cash from somebody to push this. That's the way Don works it, right? And other people. Am I wrong? He tried to do that with Nika, right? Yeah, so who's to say that she wasn't offered some money? And a lot of people brought that up too. Who's to say that she wasn't offered money to do this complaint? I can't prove it, but it's a distinct possibility that that could have happened, besides Barry's pretty much demands upon her to enact revenge on me. Well, we know that happened. We could prove that. And the proof was sent in already. You heard it. Sent in. They got it. So we move on from here. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to say the least. Very interesting.